another day and another should you summon. And this one's pretty needed because, ladies and gentlemen, iOS just increased the App Store prices, so this just made your gacha hobbies a lot more expensive. But don't worry, your boy OP is here to give you some insight on the newest, hottest banners and grand summoners, so I can help you make an informed decision on whether or not you should summon. And this time around, we got a pretty crazy banner, which is actually going to be Blackrock Shooter. Even though I think the majority of this crossover is pretty much a luxury style crossover, I don't think there's a lot of stuff that's needed from this, but I do think there are some really good pickups that you might want to consider. So without further ado, let's talk about Blackrock Shooter. They actually did us a solid on this one, boys. This crossover banner only features the 3 crossover units.
That's pretty good.
So if you don't know about the characters by now, we have 3 characters coming with this crossover, which is going to be Empress, Strength, and Deadmaster. Each of these characters have their own strengths and of course their own weaknesses, and there's definitely some that stand out more than the others. Let's talk about Strength. The amount of damage buffing she has in her kit, not only for herself but also her team, she could be a very vital asset to any break nuke comp. Like, there's tons of videos out there you guys have probably seen, or maybe you haven't, of characters hitting like over 10 million plus because Strength's on the team and she's buffing up their damage by a ton. Also, Strength herself hits extremely hard. She has a total of, I think, like what, 460% damage up if you factor in every single bit of damage ups that's in her kit. The main problem that I have with Strength is the fact that she doesn't have Intimidation. If Strength had this, she would be the definitive break nuker, but unfortunately she doesn't, and I feel like they probably knew that. So they were like, yeah, we're not going to give her that. She's still going to be able to break a lot of enemies. I don't know if she'll be able to break Odious from like 100% to 0. And I'm talking about Crest Palace Odious here. You guys have to let me know down below in the comment section. Is that possible or is it not? If I could really like just tie everything together with Strength, I would say Strength is a great break nuker. Extremely good. But I don't think she's needed. Since there are characters in the game like Est, and Est works perfectly fine in a lot of different break nukes, and usually the main break nuke that you're trying to achieve is against Odious, so you can do the auto crest nuke farm. And if you already have that under control, I don't think you have to waste crystals to try to get someone like Strength. However, if you don't have someone like that, and you want a breaker for whatever reason, then Strength could definitely fulfill that role for quite a while. Next it's gonna be Empress, and in my opinion, Empress is 50-50. Part of me says that I like this character, a part of me is like, yeah, I don't think this character is that good for a lot of you guys. Empress is a damage dealing supporting character hybrid, pretty much a sub attacker that wants to be on water teams. If she's on water teams, of course, she gives everybody art gauge. She's also able to reduce the enemy's water resist on top of their physical resist, so a lot of benefits for having water allies on your team. However, I feel like that's the end of the positives with Empress. Her slots aren't really that great, I want to say. You can still do work with these slots, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, if you're wanting to use her as mainly a supporting character for your water teams, you would have much rather preferred a 5-star support over a 5-star defense. I'll just tell you that right now. She is very self-sufficient, by the way. She's able to get her art gauge up very quickly as long as she's above 80% HP, and she's not afflicted by any stats elements. She's getting like 6 arts per second. But I don't know. I just don't like these types of characters. I feel like whenever they have the slots like these, it just kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh. Maybe I'm not seeing the bigger picture here. Maybe I'm being a little bit biased. The main part to me that I think is the positive is her gimmick, the fact that she's reducing critical resistance, which is extremely good against most bosses in the game. This pretty much enables you to have 100% crit rate. But outside of that, for me, she's kind of just another random water unit that they just threw in because why not? And finally, we have Deadmaster. Deadmaster, probably the queen of this crossover. A lot of people are looking out for this girl, and it's for good reason. She's pretty much Simon's Phantom Bullet, but with equipment slots. It's kind of the best way to put it. She's a nuker. Her entire kit is just revolved around her buffing up her damage, and she does a lot, like a lot of damage. She has 100% defense ignore in her kit as long as she's above 80% or more HP. On top of that as well, she's also reducing the enemy's evasion and increasing her own accuracy by 50% respectively for each. And her multiplier is extremely high, and her slots complement everything. That's one of the reasons why Deadmaster is going to be so prevalent in the meta for nukers, is the fact that her slots are going to enable her to use some of the best damage buffing equips in the game. Because if you look at her slots, she has a 5-star physical. Consider the fact that she's an earth unit. You're like, oh wait, an earth unit, 5-star physical, she's a nuker? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Iris True Weapon written all over it, which is one of the strongest damage buffing items in the entire game. If you haven't haven't been using this on your Earth nukers yet, and they have a physical slot, you should absolutely do it. Bonus points if they're also a physical damage dealer, so they can make use of the physical damage up. And then if we look at 5-star magic, well, 5-star magic is pretty good. For one, you could actually use the newest equip that's coming out with this crossover. It's going to be the 5-star magic that actually gives you, I think, around 80% earth damage up. That one's pretty solid, and I think it's pretty good if you want to use that one. However, if you have this equip, I think this one might be a tad bit better, which is the Despair Vine. Despair Vine gives you 80% attack up and 80% earth damage up, plus you get magic damage up as a passive, but that doesn't really matter for Dead Master since he's physical. The only negative to this is that it costs 50 art gauge in order to use it, but I'm going to teach you guys a little trick about this. If you pop your true art before you use this equip, then you just use it during your true art. And guess what? It doesn't matter that it's costing 50 arts. You're doing your true art anyway. So yeah, you get 80% earth damage, 80% attack up on top of the other damage ups that you're already going to be having from the other equips in your kit. It's just going to be stupid. And not to even mention she has the 4-star supports. So if you want to add some extra icing on the cake, you just throw in Mitsuya's earring. That's an extra 60% damage up. There you go. You have insane amounts of damage ups. Only thing else she needs is just everybody else to give her art gauge, and she's going to nuke pretty much anything in front of her. Extremely good character, really good synergies in terms of equipment and everything. So it's definitely no surprise why she is so sought after from this crossover. Is she needed though? The thing about damage dealers and Grand Summoners is the fact that if you already have good damage dealers like Mikey or whoever else that may be a nuker, you can probably use them for quite a while because damage dealers always get power creep. They're always the first ones to kind of get fizzled out. But if you're already happy and you're already able to nuke a lot of stuff in the game, and maybe you already have 100% defense ignore nuker, then you don't need Dead Master. But if you don't have someone like Simon, for an example, or someone else that has 100% defense ignore that's a nuker, then Dead Master would be able to fill that role for you. Whenever you can't crit, just throw on Dead Master and you'll be able to do it. That's pretty much it for the banner. To recap, I would say the two prices of the banner are definitely Strength and Dead Master in my opinion, which is probably surprising for some people because I'm actually recommending a Breaker. I think Empress is good, by the way. I don't think she's necessarily super bad, but I don't know. I feel like it's just a bias getting to me. Something about her just rubs me the wrong way, and I'm not really feeling this unit too much. In terms of how much you should probably spend on this banner though, and like crystals and all that, I would say everybody should maybe at least do a multi and see if you walk away with any of the crossover units. Since it's only these 3 featured, might as well, right? You could get lucky and get a banner unit, and then boom, you have a brand new crossover unit at your disposal. But this isn't it for the Should You Summon boys. We also got to talk about the Gotcha Equip banner. There's actually 3 items that I want to point out to you guys from this banner. We got the coil gun, the black trike, and Dead Master's bodysuit. Let's talk about the coil gun. Pretty good damage buffing item from this. You get 60% crit damage, and then also you get 40 art gauge up if your HP is above 80%. 40-second cooldown on this bad boy too. I think this is mainly going to be used as a nuking item to give you some extra damage and also give you some extra art gauge, but I also can see this being used as an actual arch gen item. The other item that I want to recommend is probably going to be a little bit surprising, but it's actually going to be the defense item. The defense item has some use in my opinion, not for its damage mitigation potential, for its art gauge potential. Of course, if you already have stuff like Iris's Friendly Bikini, you will probably be using that instead, but if you need that extra oomph and art gauge, then you can always go with the black trike. And one of the final items I'm going to recommend is actually Dead Master's bodysuit. I don't think this item is as appealing as it used to be because Mitsuya's earring was a thing that we just got from the last crossover, which is I think 60% damage up. But if you missed Mitsuya's earring and you want a damage up 4-star support that's also pretty solid, this gives you 40% damage up to giant bosses, which surprise surprise, you're always going to be fighting them, so you're lacking on about 20% damage here, but still really good. I would recommend it. And ladies and gentlemen, that's actually it for this crossover banner. Tell me down below if you're going to be summoning, if you're going to be skipping, what's the whole ordeal, you know, let me know down there. Me, myself, I'm going to be doing a summon video tomorrow, more than likely, trying to get Dead Master or walk away with one of the equips that I want. So you guys can stay tuned to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy P. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And last but not least, you guys already know, don't forget to drink water.